to another gathering of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. Have a seat by the fire as we prepare to help you unlock the secrets of the travel life. From theme park thrills to Purple Mountain's majesty, we want to see it all and do it all, and we want to help you do the same. We all have those bucket list trips, once-in-a-lifetime destinations that we'll get to someday. We're here to help you make your travel dreams a reality. Buy the ticket, take the trip. Where do you want to go?
Come on, now tell me what's on your bucket list. Okay, hey, it's a beautiful day. Okay, hey, it's a beautiful day.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back until you've had your own epic road trip adventure. We are here to help you navigate the great American vacation. Plus, we'll tell you about space-age desert bubble hotels, the Spanish Festival for Daredevils, and the bleakest theme park ever dedicated to the works of Charles Dickens. Put the top down and gas up the tank. It's time to hit the road with the Gold Key Adventure Society. Well, it's been a road trip for the ages. Greasy spoon diners, flat tires, late-night truck stop weirdos, and stops at countless roadside attractions, mostly featuring oversized versions of everyday items. Finally, we've arrived at the Grand Canyon, which, to be honest, is kind of just another roadside attraction. Come see the world's largest hole in the ground. Well, it's time to get back in the car. We've got a schedule to keep and travel to talk about. First, I was wondering, what summer road trip movie would your family road trip most resemble? Although I realize when I think about it that most of them involve a bunch of jackasses in a car and things go terribly. But there's subtle variations in flavor.
I'm going to go with Thelma and Louise.
You're going to drive off a cliff at the end?
That's truly disastrous.
Well, yeah. If you're in the car with your family long enough, you do want to drive off.
Exactly.
I was thinking planes, trains, and automobiles were everything that can go wrong.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
I was going to say probably the first National Lampoon Vacation, mainly because we'd be going to Disneyland, and if we'd eat at Flo's, it'd be like eating those dog pee covered sandwiches.
With grandma on the roof.
Dead grandma and pee covered sandwiches.
What about Throw Mama from the Train? Does that count as a road trip?
What are you doing?
So many good ones.
What about you, Dan?
Easy Rider?
I wish.
Ends in an explosion.
It's more like a mix of National Lampoon's Vacation and like I don't know, maybe the Muppet Movie, because I got a bunch of weird people in my family.
That's true. Yeah, little Sophie's humidity hairdo has been looking rather Muppet-like lately.
Moving right along.
Perfect.
Yeah, she's got kind of a beaker kind of look.
Hey, if you could travel by map, though, that would be my ideal road trip.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely. All right, well then, I guess it's time to get to the news. Our show this week is brought to you by Key to the World Travel. Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency specializing in theme parks, cruising, and destinations around the world. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com for more details and a no-obligation quote on the vacation of a lifetime. Just theme park news.
All right, well, I'll start with the bad news first. Disneyland's scheduled reopening has been postponed. So,
Wah, wah.
Yeah. They were originally set to reopen the parks on July 17th, but the state of California has now indicated that it's not going to issue theme park reopening guidelines until sometime after July 4th. So according to Disneyland, they're quoted as saying, "Given the time required for us to bring thousands of cast members back to work and restart our business, we have no choice but to delay the reopening of our theme parks and resort hotels until we receive approval from government officials."
And this way we can blame the governor.
Well, it's interesting because the July 17 reopening wasn't really ever set in stone. It was all, this is our proposed date, and they hadn't gotten approval yet. So it's the media coverage of this, Disney decided not to reopen, the angle they're taking is a little suspect, in my opinion.
A little bit skewed.
Yeah, but that's how they always go. It's always, we got to make the big company
for sure
look awful. They love that.
And it's, there's been some concern recently about rising numbers, and so some of the governors are trying to slow things down a little bit. So I guess it's not really that surprising that Newsom decided to hold off on letting them certify that date, but fingers crossed.
It doesn't sound like it's going to be a huge delay if they can get their poop in a group and get those numbers down a little bit.
Yeah, they are actually still, Downtown Disney is still going to reopen on July 9th, as they had previously announced. So they are starting some sort of phase, and then hopefully they can continue to roll that forward.
And that's kind of what they did too with Walt Disney World, is got Disney Springs open first and get some of that, all the new procedures tested out there. And it seems to be going well there, honestly.
Yeah, and Walt Disney World announced not too soon after that they were still on schedule for their phased reopening. So everything's still set for that.
Oh, Disney
Other
World's
than
opening?
bars.
Other than bars. Yeah, that
right
happened
now.
last night as of recording. Yeah, so now
Favorite part of Disney World is bars.
Yeah, so any bar in Florida now, Central Florida area, that makes more than 50% of its income off of alcohol sales cannot serve on-premises alcohol at this time.
Yeah,
so,
they're targeting. They're trying to target like the clubs
The
and,
club.
and things like that.
Yeah, luckily it doesn't seem like it will affect most places that we're going to reopen at Disney, as there are a lot of restaurants with bars in them.
Restaurants with bars will still be okay.
Yeah, yesterday I think at 3 p.m. A couple places at at Disney Springs closed. Jock Lindsay's closed,
and Grand Floridian, the Enchanted Rose, closed as well for right now.
So, yeah,
even though even though they do serve food there, it's a very, very limited menu. Most of it is the drink. So
yeah,
for right now.
I think Abracadabra could get away with it, pretending they're the bar of the restaurant next door that makes all the money.
To do a little magic with the books.
Food next door, will they?
I guess that's
that's probably the key component there.
What they all need to do is do what that one bar down there in Florida is doing, where they're giving everybody an inner tube with a tabletop to wear on a pair of suspenders.
What?
You didn't see that? They're giving them these great big 3-foot inner tubes with a tabletop built into it and making them stay outside. So it's like bumper drunks.
That actually looks kind of fun.
Sounds amazing.
I was about to say that's going to end with somebody breaking something. So
How could you, man? There's an inner tube.
Well, to cleanse the palate from some bad news, we have some good news from Disney Cruise Line. They've announced a new cruise date flexibility program. So this was surprising. I don't know. I figured they'd
nothing specific, just just
in case,
just some new things.
Yeah, we just were thinking about it. This is for cruises booked by August 31st, 2020 for sailings through March 31st, 2021. And guests can change their sail date up to 15 days prior to their cruise.
That's pretty nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's close. Yeah, and they can move it to any cruise commencing prior to April 1st, 2022. So that's a pretty good window.
Didn't NCL email almost that same thing yesterday?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are.
I didn't read through it as well, but
yeah,
I think they're moving to they called it the safe sail guarantee or something like that. So like not only with their safety protocols, but the ability to change and no service fees, change fees, cancellation fees. They're going to need our business bad when they realize.
Yeah,
all of the cruise lines really are. It has hit them even harder than the land-based tour operators.
I think we're going to see a lot of loosening of restrictions just continuously through the next year or so.
Works for me. I like a nice deal.
Well, some other good news in the general travel category is that Hawaii has had a little bit of a change in their stance. They are, as of August 1st, yes, they're lifting their requirement for a 14-day quarantine if you can produce negative COVID-19 test results upon arrival. Which, I mean, it is a good thing because they have been struggling with the lack of tourism, and
unless you get it on the plane on the way there.
Exactly.
They should just test people when they arrive. And then
there are some destinations that are doing that. Iceland has been doing that since the beginning. Their borders have never closed, and they will do a test at the airport when you land. And then they ask you to stay in your hotel for whatever the 24 hours that it's been taking to get the test results back. But yeah, the Hawaii has been struggling with this because who can stay in their hotel room for 2 weeks while waiting out a quarantine? It's just And they rely so heavily on tourist dollars.
It'd be the world's worst 2-week trip to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, really great window views.
The inside of my Ramada Inn was great.
And they have been serious about it. They were watching people's social media and then arresting people on the beach.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah.
I wonder why their tourism is suffering.
Yeah.
COVID cops.
Nobody's going there right now. But yeah, starting August 1st, you'll be able to show negative test results from within the week previous to prior to when you arrived. And as long as you have that, it says you can email it before you arrive or show a printed test result upon arrival. And fill out a health declaration, undergo a temperature check, and then you will be allowed to have a fabulous Hawaiian vacation again.
That's
good.
I was reading a interesting article related kind of to Hawaii and the travel, even though, they're hurting from not getting the dollars in. All the locals are really enjoying not having.
I read that this morning about Paris as well.
Yeah. And they're really hoping that it's going to be like, maybe they can hit the reset button on how people experience Hawaii, that they can come in and do a little bit more, like help people see the actual culture and less impact on the wildlife and stuff, so that it's better for everybody to enjoy.
Well, good luck with that. People are terrible.
That is a good point.
That's true. For some reason, people seem to just get worse, not better.
That is true.
And that's the good news. People are terrible.
For the best travel hacks when you plan your trips, it's Key to the World Travel with just the tips. Just the tips, guys. We got another trip.
You're just rushing through it now.
We've got another travel tip from Key to the World Travel Advisor. You ready for it?
Ready.
Bring it.
Right,
Give us the tips.
From Amber K.
Hi, this is Amber K. from Pell City, Alabama. My tip is for strollers to tie something on so you can see your stroller in the sea of all the same gray and black strollers that there are at the theme parks. Tie a ribbon, a balloon, anything that would make your stroller stand out, because sometimes they are in the same place, but occasionally those cast members will move them around to help organize them better. So always tie something where you can find your stroller easily.
I always took one of those Halloween fake plastic severed hands and just tie that on the end. Not only will you be able to find it, but the cast members won't move it. You can put it wherever you want.
Have it sticking out of a little cooler underneath.
With a little plaque that said, "This is the hand of the last CM that tried to move my stroller."
Have it pointing with two fingers.
That's great.
Yeah, we rarely used a stroller because I took Wyatt there when he was 5, and we only used a stroller one time because I got tired of him whining and just got one and threw him in it.
I love the story of that trip, though, when he got a little lazy.
He got really used to that stroller and wanted me to push him to everything. And one time we were looking at the monkeys in the Animal Kingdom, the ones that howl all the time. And he was like, "Daddy, push me closer to the monkey." I was like, "Get your ass out of that stroller and go look at the monkey. I'm not pushing you closer to the monkey."
Push me closer.
So that has just become code for like peel me a grape or something super lazy in our household.
Yeah, that's a good tip I found too. If you're renting a stroller like we did a few times when my son was younger, especially if you're renting from something big like Kingdom Strollers.
Oh, yeah.
You soon realize when you get in the park that they look exactly the same and they all have the same orange sign, and you don't know what yours is until you get up on it. So definitely bring something if you're renting.
Just tie your kid to it so you recognize it.
Hey, that's a great idea.
He's the one flailing and
tether them to it and put the brakes on it.
No. Just make sure it's something obnoxious that you can really recognize, like a child, because I think everybody's heard the balloon trick now. So now there's just 1,000 Mickey balloons.
That was said like a man who has 4 of them.
Something obnoxious.
That's right.
Such conviction.
Whose turn is it to get tied to the stroller while the rest of us go on the ride?
Not me.
Yeah, I think it's a rolling thing based on previous behavior, current behavior, and attitude.
Well, guys, I'm sure you've heard the big news. Splash Mountain is going to be rethemed.
Yeah.
Frog Mountain
Frog Mountain, the Princess and the Frog Mountain. So the attraction at both Disneyland and Magic Kingdom will be completely reimagined into that based off of The Princess and the Frog. It's going to pick up after the movie's final kiss and join Princess Tiana and Louis on a musical adventure as they prepare for their first ever Mardi Gras performance.
I'm excited to see how they work the big drop into this.
Yeah.
Not that many mountains.
I bet at the end you'll splash down into the water from the top of that mountain. That's
I guarantee.
Into the middle of a briar patch.
Oh yeah. Is the briar patch going away?
You know what? The final scene after the drop, when you go back in and there's the riverboat and all the New Orleans-y kind of music, that's already perfect.
That's perfect.
They just need to put new characters. I think they'll use some of those same animatronics too and just put new skins over top them.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm sure
for the main characters, they'll use those rear projection ones like in
That'll be
Dwarfs.
cool. Yeah.
Or can you imagine if they got, which of the Asian parks has that Belle animatronic that's even more realistic than the ones in Frozen?
That thing is realistically creepy.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. It's
is
even
very
more
good.
It's like the shaman in
Is it
Navi River
rear
Journey,
projected
but-
face like the
No,
Frozen
it's
No,
an
it's
actual,
more like that shaman in the Navi River.
She's pretty amazing.
Right.
I mean, they didn't say this in the official release about this, but I read in a couple of different places that Tony Baxter, the Imagineer who designed Splash Mountain, would be coming back to head up the redesign. So
Good.
Oh, cool.
makes sense.
I don't know if he's heading it. I thought I had saw
Sharita Carter is heading it.
Yeah, Sharita Carter which is pretty. She did
Runaway
Mickey and Minnie's,
Yeah.
which is a fantastic ride.
I got to
They did
meet
a
her
great
after
job
we
on
did that.
Remember when that was open that week?
Yeah. Those 10 days.
So
I'm excited to see that. Like I know I said to you guys off the air about I imagining a room with the bayou at night with the stars and the fireflies with like Ray and Evangeline.
And Evangeline, yeah.
I think I'm sure it's going to be beautiful, but I have to point something out. So Disney is kind of renowned at this point for going a little over the top with the concept art that they never really fully deliver.
Oh, yeah.
The concept image that they released for this, if they were to stick with it, would mean that the entire outside area of the ride would be turned into this like completely different, like almost
Giant
like Pandora area. I was like, you guys really have to dial back the expectations.
Yeah.
That's a little too much.
Yeah, that there's a Thunder Mesa right next door and
Yeah.
a lot of concrete.
I'm like, those are bathrooms where you've got animatronic characters standing. I know you're not putting them there.
I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's going to be beautiful. Do we have a timeline on when they're planning to close and start the refurb?
No, not at all. They've got conceptual design work that's well underway, and Imagineers will soon be able to conduct preliminary reviews and develop a timeline for when the transformation can start to take shape, as they said.
Cool.
That's the biggest thing I was curious about, because they always talk about how they have to be real careful with refurbing Splash Mountain because it's hard to take it down for
it just went down for a full like repaint and like heavy refurb.
They do that
year.
every year in January. It's closed for an extensive
few months.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, that's going to be like, how long was Frozen down for when it was Maelstrom to Frozen? Do we recall? Was it like a year and a half?
Question.
I feel like it was like a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was more
they
than
didn't even redo the outside of that.
Yeah, this is going to be major. How am I going to walk around with wet shorts and get chafed?
You can just go to the Rapunzel bathroom.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
We'll just chuck a beer onto your shorts for you. Anyway,
well, the way Pirates has been lately, you just ride Pirates a couple of times.
Very true. That ride is
unpleasant.
That is a butt wetter for sure.
They turned that up.
I think we had one more breaking news story out of the theme parks, actually, just something from Universal.
Yeah, so sadly, this just came in right when we started recording, at least that I saw. Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios. Oh, wait, what were you talking about?
Something different?
Remotes and bags.
Oh, the remotes and bags. Oh, yeah. So
quickly, Super Nintendo World has been delayed for a little bit, but more important.
Super Nintendo World in Japan, but that's not important.
Yes.
That's not important.
No.
not too long after we recorded and released last week's episode, where we discussed briefly a few times that Disney was going to be placing remote controls in their hotel rooms into plastic bags for your convenience.
To show you that they're clean.
Was that the episode we recorded with a Universal exec?
It was weird, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
But not too long after that, a listener of the show sent me a photo after she checked into Cabana Bay a couple days ago. And sure enough, there's a remote control in a bag waiting for you at the Cabana Bay Beach Resort. So
interesting.
I don't want to say that this is a case of corporate espionage, but
it was never mentioned. And I went back and looked. It's not mentioned in any of Universal's media releases about what they're doing to combat or to prepare their rooms. So,
and
seems to me,
if there is a mole, it's Amy Lee.
Yeah. When we were at Sapphire Falls, our remote was not in a bag.
There you go.
We'll have to reach out for Amy for
we're going to need to get some comment.
Do some real digging here. Get down to the bottom of the story.
Absolutely.
So, yes, we'll get back with more as it breaks.
Yes. Remotes in bags are cleaner.
And less importantly, Super Nintendo World is not going to be opening.
An entire land has been delayed indefinitely, but really that's not that important.
Well, I mean, that's at the Japanese park, so.
Yeah.
Well, that also
take that, Japanese listeners.
Further delayed for Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
That was a given. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying not to think about that.
All right. Well, we've been talking about glamping lately, and I've got another weird glamping opportunity for you guys.
Weird glamping. Interesting.
Yeah.
Dandy camping.
This
Dandy camping.
This is at the Campera Hotel in Baja California, Mexico.
Baja.
Yeah. This is the Bubble Suite. Have you seen
Bubble Suite?
Have you seen, Heather, did you see in Grand Rapids where they had that the coffee shop downtown that in the wintertime they put up those plastic igloos?
Yeah.
And this is like glamping in one of those bad boys. So it's a giant,
super nice,
clear plastic dome that the bedroom is in. And then they've got a little enclosed private area for the bathroom. And it's out in the middle of vineyards in Baja, California.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. In the Valle de Guadalupe. Each one, there's 12 of these bubble hotels, and each one comes with a private bathroom, full-size bed, and luxurious amenities.
You can see right into them, but they do have the bed as a canopy bed that has curtains around. For when you go bang bang.
I feel like I've seen something similar to this for watching the Northern Lights at the North Pole.
It was similar,
that had like
I hope that
bubble
one's heated,
thing.
though.
Yes.
Oh God,
it's very similar, but these ones look a little bit more
glampy,
sketchy.
Yeah,
glampy.
They look cool, and when they have all these cool lights on them, so they glow, and I think they look really neat.
Oh, cool.
My thing though, is it in a vineyard? The view doesn't look like so amazing that I want to be in a dome just to see it. I'm like,
you're going to wake up in the morning and be like standing there scratching yourself in your underwear, and there's going to be like a poor guy picking grapes out there.
Sunlight coming in.
Oh no! Yeah, the workers harvesting the grapes.
It's at the end of the rows of grapes, and then they built these walls out of hay bales to kind of
give you a little privacy,
partition each of the bubbles. So there's pros and cons.
Sir, put your pants on. You're ruining the wine tasting.
Now, if you could take something like that and put it in a redwood forest or something more visually interesting, I'd be all over that. Or the Northern Lights. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the design of them. Although from the pictures, it looked like it's just a toilet and a sink, not anywhere to bathe.
I thought there was a shower.
Oh, maybe I just...
There's a small shower. It's like a hand shower almost.
It's like a cruise ship shower bathroom situation.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Or like a train trip shower where your toilet is also your shower.
Yes.
It's kind of like that. It's a hand shower, and you're standing on a wooded floor that's got a drain in the middle, and the toilet and the vanity are all on there. So yeah, it's like that. It's $282 a night with it looks like a 2-night minimum.
Looks like you can hose yourself down while you're on the toilet. I'm all right with that.
So yeah. Go do some dandy
full body bidet.
You can do all 3 S's in the same spot.
It's efficient that way. Heather, did you have any other travel news?
I had a little bit of virtual travel news. We talked on a previous episode about the fat bear contest in Alaska from Katmai National Park.
That could win that.
Well, great news. The Katmai National Park's bear cams are back for the season.
Oh, yay.
So you can start. The fun thing to do right now is to watch all of the bears standing in the streams, catching salmon and fattening themselves up. So you can take a look all summer long, watch the bears eating. And then in a few months, they'll start the next fat bear contest.
And you pick out which ones you want to punch.
Yes.
I could take that bear. I could take that bear.
I could punch
Those are
that guy
grizzlies.
in the
I don't think you're supposed to.
Oh, see, I don't listen to the show.
Well,
I get
some
it
of
wrong.
them, there are grizzlies and also brown bears. So there are some punchable bears.
Just a quick note. While there are some small differences, brown bears and grizzly bears are essentially the same species, so it's not advisable to punch a brown bear at Katmai National Park that won't back down. Black bears, which live primarily in the eastern United States, on the other hand, are incredibly punchable. We're now returning you to our previously scheduled programming.
Punchable bears.
I like a good punchable bear.
Punching the bear. Wait,
should we start up a office pool? Maybe pick which bear is going to win. Put some money on this.
Fattest bear. I like it.
Yeah.
I when I saw this article on Lonely Planet, I did go take a look, and it is kind of fascinating watching them just stand there and the fish just jump into their mouths. And then you get the bears who aren't quite good at it yet, and the fish sort of bounce off their face.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like my dog in treats.
Wild animal fails are always fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Take that, nature.
They're supposed to be so graceful.
Yeah. The other thing that I saw this week that caught my eye was this new casino that's opening in Las Vegas. Have you guys read anything about it's called the Circa Resort? It's the first ever, and this surprised me, it's the first ever adults only resort and casino in Las Vegas.
Really? Yeah. That is surprising.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It did always shock me on my last trip to Vegas when I would see people pushing a stroller through the casino. Like, what are you doing?
Well,
this one,
they have to pass through the casino to get to
anywhere.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this one is they have a pool amphitheater. It's crazy. It's 6 huge swimming pools that are kind of stacked stadium style. And then they have this enormous screen down at the bottom. So it's like an amphitheater.
Oh, you mean the seats are in the pool?
There are
tiered pools.
That's a performance
tiered pools. Yeah. So there's a pool and then there's seating all around it. And then there's a giant screen for watching sports or whatever while you're hanging out drinking in the pool.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's a 78 million pixel screen that can be seen from all of the rooms on that side of the casino and from these pools.
The International Space Station.
That would be awesome for porn.
That would be
adults only.
It is an adults only resort. That is true.
What is it? Where is it?
It's called the Circa Resort and Casino on the Strip in Vegas.
Huh. I have heard nothing about this before.
Yeah.
Right
I guess that's kind of a natural progression. I know that there's some shows there where you can buy VIP sitting where you sit in a hot tub while the stage show's going on.
Nice.
That sounds naughty.
I need to hear this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess swimming around in the pool while the show's going on.
Yeah. I'll put the link up because you got to see this.
That's crazy.
Do you look at it? It's so cool.
Wow. It's like a giant football field of pools and chairs.
And chairs. Yeah.
Weird.
That's pretty cool. They were scheduled to open early next year, but during the downtime that when Vegas was not able to have any visitors at all, it seems that they were able to ramp up their construction and they're going to be opening on October 28th.
Oh, that's weird.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
Circa Resort and
I'll
Casino
have to go check it
bookings
out.
now open. Yeah.
And are they going to have a Circa du Soleil show?
Oh, I hope so.
Huh?
I think it's going to be quite a while until you see any live performances in Vegas.
Maybe. Yeah. Cirque du Soleil, the new show at Disney World, is opening in August.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
They're only allowing 4 people in the theater at a time.
Yeah, they're going to socially distance you and stagger the seating. But
They should do that and just charge
open.
$750 a ticket.
Yeah.
Cirque needs that because they're not. They're in
They're
some
not
trouble.
doing well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually read they were in danger of going fully bankrupt.
Mhm. Anyone that relies on in-person performances and things
Disney
right
on
now
Ice is screwed.
Yeah. Yes. Rats.
Chuck E. Cheese just filed for bankruptcy.
Gross.
Yeah, but fortunately, they're keeping most of their stores open.
Chuck E. Cheese?
Apparently, the takeout system they had for their pizza during the closure just didn't work.
Wasn't that popular?
People weren't coming for the pizza, apparently. I'm not really sure what happened. But
People weren't fooled by Pasquale's Pizza and Wings.
yeah.
Oh, I used to love Pasquale's.
I'm a showbiz pizza man myself, so if you're
Showbiz,
bringing
yeah.
that back, I don't
Pizza
care.
tastes good. Yeah, I had a lot of birthdays at Showbiz, and I'm
Yeah, me
embarrassed
too.
to say how old I was when I was still having birthdays.
Those places used to have
I
good
was
video
30.
games. Though.
17.
Like,
Yeah.
sir, no, a
30.
pitcher of beer does not come with the birthday
When
celebration.
I was in high school, I was on the it was like a teen street team kind of thing to get
What?
teens interested in showbiz. So they had teen nights and stuff, and that we had like the street team that did flyers and tried to get people to come out there. And then
Please
they
tell me
had-
you had like fingerless gloves and cool like neon green
I
sideways
had a
hats.
greasy mullet and a high school guy mustache,
You had like nicknames like Little Pickles and like Wiggle Legs.
sleeveless shirts, fingerless gloves.
Hey, I'm Zap.
Yeah,
From here,
We're part of the Showbiz Street Team.
yeah. I had a Jerry curl.
Street team.
these guys do breakdancing.
No,
Sneakers with no
I'm
laces.
like, I mean, they still have street teams now for bands and record labels.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
But showbiz pizza.
Yeah, my image
But I
of
could
you
get
in
in
a
free, and they gave me like a gift certificate to play all the games. So heck, yeah,
Wow.
I'd promote that all around my high school. I don't know why I never had a date. Huh. Hey, you want to go to Showbiz?
but you had the high score on Galaga, so you know.
That's
Priorities. Well, I found another interesting place in the Atlas Obscura.
Is it as good as the hobo
Please,
convention?
no more hobos. I can't take
No,
it.
no, and I intentionally looked for something that wouldn't overshadow just this
It
week.
was so hard to follow that last week.
I felt a little bit bad taking the steam out of your sails there. This week we're headed to Spain to the Castile region, the village of Castrillo de Murcia. Every year, 60 days after Easter, the village invites men dressed as devils to jump over babies.
Oh, yeah, as one does.
Sounds like my bachelor party. What's up?
Men dressed as devils jumping over
El
babies.
Diablo.
Yeah, I'm not sure which part of that you don't understand.
This is
Which part of that is weird?
I'm glad they're
This is
just
very
jumping over them.
How? What's what?
They're not curb stomping babies.
Jeff.
Too soon.
The annual baby jumping festival takes place in the streets where infants are laid out on mattresses in rows of 2 or 3. As the babies fidget and squirm in front of an audience, men dressed in bright yellow suits and devilish masks come charging down the street. They threaten bystanders with whips and act in a menacing manner before jumping over the rows of infants as though they were hurdles on a running track.
Yes,
Is
it's
there
like
a
a bachelor
danger
party.
that a baby could get stepped on?
I hope not, because I'll show you a picture in a second. Dating back to the 17th century, the festival is intended to absolve infants of evil and I guess wash them of original sin. Any
That'll do it.
Any child born within the last year is eligible to serve as a human hurdle for the devil men.
Yeah. Sign me up.
There's some weird stuff in the world, you guys.
I'm just disturbed by the fact that they aren't following the standard protocol of devils being dressed in red. What is up with the yellow outfits?
what's
Come on, guys.
Oh no. It does. It's like our yellow tracksuit with the red stripes. Jumping over babies. All right.
Start limbering up. I wonder if you can participate, kind of like in the running of the bulls.
Can I volunteer to jump over the babies?
This could be the.
May I jump over your baby, ma'am?
I think we're working up to a new tagline for the show: the baby air punching, baby jumping, globe-trotting jackassery.
I think it's going to be difficult for me to translate that one into Latin, though.
Well, this week.
Baby
Jess,
jumping.
what you got?
This week, I'm sort of still taking a break from the dicks, but not fully. So
Just because of the social distancing.
yeah, gotta get a breather, But this week, it's all about Dickens. So
Oh, I see what you did there.
I'm going to tell you guys about Dickens' world. The the 19th century London themed
the world's
theme
most
park.
depressing theme park.
Yes. Step into the filthy streets of 19th century London, filled with disease and poverty.
Stop you right there.
At this indoor attraction celebrating the works of Charles Dickens.
Oh,
Where is this located?
This is in the Chatham Dockside Retail Park in Kent, England, which is a strip mall.
So it's actually England. I was wondering if it was maybe going to be in like Malaysia or someplace weird.
Nope. This is actually in England.
Dickens Park in a strip mall.
Yeah, it's it's weird. I mean, that's what shows it. So, I mean,
it's authentic.
So basically, this was started in May of 2007, and it was designed by Gary O'Sullivan Bear, who also created Santa World in Sweden, which we're all familiar with. Santa World, right?
Yes, Santa World, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it's far more filthy. Strangely,
is that a bat he's holding?
No, it's I think it's supposed to be like a dead rat, or maybe even a bat.
A rat. I can see
some sort of diseased animal, of course.
Do they serve rat stew in the cafeteria in Dickens?
They didn't have any. They did have a bar and a restaurant that was themed like a dirty old disease-ridden bar. They had attractions like the Great Expectations boat ride, which took guests. This took guests past dilapidated English row houses and a jail that was filled with Dickens' more notable villains.
Wow.
Great expectations.
But apparently
they never said they're going to live up to those expectations.
Yeah, the ride itself actually had nothing to do with Great Expectations, apparently. So that's, but it ended with, and speaking of Splash Mountain, it ended with a drop from the sewers into a river.
Ew.
Yeah. Because that's, it's cute and fun.
Good times.
Yeah, they also had a haunted house and the bar and restaurant that we spoke of. And then the Fagin's Den kids play area, where I guess your kids could learn to be street urchins who pickpocket and carry knives and call people govna. But
they train kids to be flim-flam.
Yeah, but sadly, unfortunately, it closed in 2016.
Oh man, I think
it was made.
Way to butter me.
Planning our Christmas vacation.
I think it was replaced with a Subway sandwich shop or something. I'm not sure.
I sincerely want to visit that park.
For real?
So that's really disappointing to me. I would love that.
I mean, it made it 9 years. That's impressive.
It was going to be on my Japan's Real Westworld tour. We were going to stop off in jolly old England to visit Dickens land.
It looks pretty ornate, like the steps and everything look pretty great. That's some expense to only last
it's just
9
such
years.
a weird theme. Like, I don't know. I don't see kids having fun there.
Yeah, Charles Dickens isn't really known for being uplifting.
Yeah. Hey, you know what though?
Or I don't know. No kid.
It still looks better than Six
Flags. I want to go
Flags.
into that world.
Boom!
Oh,
stay down, Six Flags.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Stick around, because after the commercial break, we're packing up the car and hitting the road to discuss the great American summer vacation, the road trip.
Holiday road.
When it comes to planning your next adventure, knowledge and preparation are always key. That's why a call to your Key to the World travel vacation planner should always be at the top of your to-do list when you feel the urge to venture forth and explore the world. Key to the World Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, specializing in travel to Disney theme parks around the world, as well as Disney Cruise Line, Aulani, and Adventures by Disney. With over 450 travel advisors who share a deep love for Disney destinations, Key to the World Travel has a wealth of knowledge and passion to help you experience all the magic with none of the work. Wherever your wanderlust is driving you, Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency with the expertise to get you where you want to go. So whether you're headed to Universal Studios, Hawaii, Europe, or somewhere a little farther off the beaten track, your first step should always be to visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a no-obligation quote. Their expert travel planners are standing by to help you with every detail of your perfect vacation. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com or at Key to the World Travel on Facebook. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Well, it's been a good run, but it looks like this is the end of the line. The Highway Patrol has us cornered by the rim of the Grand Canyon, and our only options are to surrender or keep going, and frankly, I'm too pretty to go to prison. So I stomp on the gas, and as we fly over the edge, I turn to you guys and say, good news, it's a long way down to the bottom of the canyon. It should give us just enough time to finish talking about road trips. Yeah, so a lot of people are not really into the idea of flying, and there's not a lot of places overseas that have welcomed Americans back for travel yet. So right now, road trips, either with an RV or just in the car, good old-fashioned road trip, seem to be pretty hot right now. Lots of people are talking about ways to take those. That's why I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this week. They're kind of like the classic American vacation, right? Like I don't know that anybody else does road trips the way we do, or really likes cars as much as
the British do. Love an RV trip, although they call them caravans.
Yes. It's because all their cars are so tiny you can't even barely fit like two people in them. You wouldn't want to do a road trip in that.
Caravan. They call RVs caravans.
Uh-huh.
It's weird. I did not know that.
I learned that from a Guy Ritchie movie, I think.
that sounds about right.
Yeah, that one. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt.
the one that has an inappropriate name we shouldn't say on the podcast.
It just shows how much I can't remember the name.
Oh.
Isn't he like a bare knuckle boxer or something? And, yeah.
It's called Snatch.
Oh. Like grab.
I don't get it.
Like grab.
Yeah, that's what I thought it meant. Because so aren't they like, it's like a heist. They're stealing something. They're snatching.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with your brain, Heather. But.
Nothing.
It's like you grab a cat, you snatch a pussy.
That's only, well, anyway. We're going down a road here that I didn't want to go.
Yeah, that's not the road.
I apologize for that. You can bleep that
out. Do you guys have any memories of maybe family road trips when you were a kid, or epic trips that you took once you were finally old enough to get out and travel on your own? A lot of times road trips are kind of like coming of age adventures.
I remember how unsafe they were in the 80s. When I was
going to say, my family, we took road trips from Atlanta down to go to Disney World a few times. And a couple of times my sister and I rode in the back of the pickup truck. Like, there was a camera cover and we had like a bed in the back, and we just rode down and back there. So
I used to lay down in the back of my granddad's little pickup truck. He had a camper shell on it, and I would just be laying, listening to my Walkman, laying down, no kind of seatbelt. Yeah. I would have been super dead.
Super dead. Dead. My cousin and I always ended up in the back of my grandmother's Gremlin.
Nice.
Like in the hatch part in the back.
That's awesome.
No seatbelts.
My mom had a Plymouth Volare with the flip up seat in the back that faced the back.
Oh yeah.
And I, as the youngest of three children, had to ride back there facing backwards, and I remember like flicking off the people behind me, making faces.
I always wish that we had a station wagon so I could sit in that seat.
And we called that the way back.
The way back, yes, that's right.
The front, the back, and the way back.
Yeah, and it was always the youngest that got stuck in the way back.
Well, it was pretty little, not a lot of leg room, so it was just me and the dog back there.
Pumpkin was the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
Punkin, Pumpkin.
Of course.
Because I lived in Alabama. And still do.
Did you guys have any epic trips that you took once you weren't being put in mortal danger by your parents and just being put in mortal danger by your young adult selves?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about before on the show road trip that I took from Atlanta all the way up to Boston and back down.
Yep.
It took a few
I think I was 16, but did not yet have a driver's license. My parents went out of town. And some friends of mine and I got in Dad's car from Huntsville, Alabama, and drove 3.5 hours to Atlanta to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Faith No More
Great show.
in a club that I was not old enough to get into.
Nice.
Did you get caught?
Nope.
Wow.
Ooh.
Nice.
I think I just may have.
Yes, you are.
Busted.
You did know. Yeah.
Yeah. Good thing my dad doesn't support me and listen to this show.
Works out in your favor in the end. I had some other questions for you guys to kind of get a taste of your personal road trip flavor, or if you're not a huge fan of road trips, maybe what you would like them to look like if they were enjoyable to you. Car or RV in ideal world? I mean, Heather, maybe you would want to jump in the grandparents.
Oh yeah, we did. We have borrowed my grandparents' RV a few times actually and it is much more comfortable.
These modern RVs are nice.
I mean, some of them are nicer than my house.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that their RV costs more than my house for sure.
Oh, for sure. The one, my grandparents have 2 RVs. They have the smaller one. Yes.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. They have the smaller one that's for quick trips. That's still like it's a C-class.
To the grocery store.
Yeah. But then they have the one that they live in the entire winter, and it's the kind that's sort of like
this like tour bus size
a rock star tour bus. Yeah. And that thing has hardwood floors and granite countertops.
They have the pop out sides.
Multiple pop out sides, and it's got a full size washer and dryer. I mean, it is really nice. Yeah.
The rest of the year it lives in a pole barn the size of a warehouse.
It has its own parking spot on their property in a pole barn. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He once accidentally locked the keys in it and had to call us. It was when my kids were a bit smaller, and paid my son to climb in the back window and let him back into his bus when he was getting it ready for a trip.
Wyatt has been shoved through many a window when he was a little kid.
Yeah.
That was when you were a cat burglar, though.
But yeah, those bigger ones that are like a tour bus, you have to have a special class of driver's license to even drive those things. But the C-class one, you don't. That one is...
and what is it? More like airport shuttle sized?
It's kind of what you classically think of when you think of an RV. It's got
like a Winnebago.
Yeah, it has the bed that's up over the driving cab. It didn't have any slide outs or anything like that.
When I was a
bedroom
kid,
in the back.
My best friend Angel across the street, her mom, or I guess it was her dad's, I don't know, stayed there after the dad left. So I don't know whose it was, but I never was hooked to a car. It was one of those kind that go over into the truck and then
cab of a truck. Yeah.
And then the piece goes over the top of the truck kind of thing. They just had it parked on their land. Or it was on the driveway. And we would hang out in there. It was just our hangout for it to smoke and do all the things teens want to do and kids. So we grew up like hanging out in there and camping out, everything. But I've never actually used an RV to travel. I think I would like it. But my thing is, most of the places that people take RVs are places I don't love, like national parks and things like that. So, like, if they could park that at a nice Mexican resort, then sure.
Sure. I had sort of as I grew out of camping, we used to tent camp, backpack, tent, tiny little tent. And then we had a pop-up. And then we had kids and we did the RV several times, and then I was just like, I'm over it. I don't want to camp anymore. But I did love the RV. Had air conditioning. It was like glamping.
When it's school out time here, it is hot, and I don't want to be anywhere around here.
But if it was a car, if I had to be in a car on a road trip, I'd want it to be a bigger car than I drive a Mini Cooper right now.
Yeah.
And that would be fine if I was the driver. But when you're stuck in the passenger seat of a small car, it's not very comfortable for
I always wanted a minivan for that reason. I'm a big dude and I want a lot of room.
Sure.
I'd rather take a train, honestly.
Yeah.
My grandfather, when he was in his early 80s, he bought like a Chevy Astro minivan, and he basically gutted the back of it, and he built himself a little sink, and he built basically a bed, and he built it so he could personally just go by
like
himself
a camper
and go
van.
camping. Yeah, he turned it into, he was an engineer for the Air Force and everything, so he was into making his own space, but he made this cute little camper inside of an old minivan.
My sister and her wife are currently have an old van that they're turning into a camper van, and they gutted the back of it, and Amy's building the cabinetry, and
that's pretty cool. I've seen some great ones of those.
Yeah. It does look pretty cool.
It's quite a project that they've got going on. That leads me to my next question. If you're stuck in the car for all this time, are you going to be in the driver's seat, you're riding shotgun, or do you want to spread out in the back seat?
This one is tough for me because I love not driving, so I can doodle on my phone the whole time. But I'm a control freak and hate the way other people drive.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's been a long time since I have not driven somewhere.
I do like to drive, but on a road trip, I prefer to be shotgun so that I can read a book or be on Facebook on my phone and passing the time that way.
I fall asleep within 2 seconds of sitting down in a car. So,
so you
it's
should
best that I don't drive ever.
Yeah.
Like I fall asleep going to the grocery store. Like I love the car falling. And when I was a kid, we would go some places and I'd fall asleep in the car, and then my family would just leave me in the car instead of waking me up.
Yep.
And I'd have to wake up in the driveway.
You woke up in Tijuana out in front of a donkey show.
I don't want to be in the back seat though, because I can't read in the back seat. I'll get car sick. I can
from
the front seat. It's fine, unless it's if it's a minivan and you're in the middle row.
Remember fighting your siblings for the not sitting on the hump in the back seat?
Oh yes, for sure, definitely.
If you are the driver, how are you getting where you're going? Probably these days you're just setting the GPS and letting the app get you. Did you ever use? What about paper maps?
I was always the map reader. I was the navigator.
Yeah, me too.
I like having a navigator.
At reading a map. Yeah.
Yeah. The last time we took a big family trip, I got a map of Ohio and handed it to Kendra and said, "Here's where we are. Here's where we're going." She picked the route, and it was great.
Yeah. Remember when you used to be able to go into AAA and get
a triptych?
The triptych, yeah. They would highlight it for you.
I was just going to say that. I would always have, my granddad was like founding AAA member or whatever from the 1900s, and he back when they were called automobiles.
Yes,
but he would always get me a triptych for wherever I was going. It was like a flip book of small condensed maps, so you could see like step 1, do this; step 2, do this. Very cool, actually. It was sort of before. It was before. What was the thing before Google Maps? It was like how to get places.
Those terrible instructions that never got you
printed out instruction things you do.
MapQuest.
MapQuest.
Yeah, I did a lot of that.
We had one of the first GPS systems when we were driving around Europe. We had a TomTom.
TomTom Go.
We took it on a trip. We flew into Shannon in Ireland and then just drove, did a big circle, basically. Ireland's about the size of Michigan. So we did a whole circle. And the TomTom was not very accurate at the time.
The thing with TomTom was a huge pain in the butt. You had to download an update, and they only did them about once a year.
But the great thing was you could get some really fun voices on your TomTom. We had John Cleese. Ours was John Cleese, and every time he would have to say that you're coming up on a like a fork in the road, he would say, "Bear right, beaver left."
No, that's funny.
Never got old.
Yeah, it still pops into my head every time someone Darth says Vader, "bear right."
Several other voices. I love doing the Homer Simpson one. You're approaching your turn on the left.
I wouldn't trust that.
But we were in Normandy trying to find our way to the D-Day beaches, and it kept telling us to turn into the ocean, into fields full of cows. Like there's no road right there.
Yeah.
We had my grandmother in the car, and we drove from Paris to Normandy trying to take her to show her all of the D-Day stuff. And she's not really very patient for things like this. And my youngest was only a year old. And she was in the back with the baby. It was a whole thing. It was that stupid TomTom was not accurate at all.
You needed AAA.
Yes, we probably needed a triptych. And we would have, if we had had a damn map, it would have been a lot better. But now I do tend to just throw my phone up there, and I've got Google Maps or one of the social media crowdsourcing GPS systems like Waze.
Stuff now you can avoid the interstates or go the back roads to see
avoid toll roads,
whatever. I love all that.
I will say about being the navigator with the paper map, it certainly did make the time go faster.
Mm-hmm.
Although it was always your fault if you got lost.
I have to pull a Joey Tribbiani, though. I have to turn the map to
you
orient
need to get in the map.
Yeah, well, not quite stand in it like he did, but I do always have to turn it to orient where I'm going.
Go into the map.
Everything's always just going north or whatever, going up the map.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Forward is always up. Well, while you're up there in the front seat, who's picking the tunes in the car? Is it the driver or is it the shotgun?
I mean, it has to be me. Yes. I don't care whether I'm driving.
You don't care what position you're in.
Because if I leave it up to my husband, we'll be listening to Churches or
That's what I was
the entire time. And I can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
In the olden days, I always was thinking it should be the driver, but now with everything streaming and you can pick and move around, it probably should be the passenger that chooses, so you're not fiddling with your phone whilst driving.
That's a good point.
We have playlists on our Spotify for that, so we just throw those on.
Mm-hmm. I like to listen to stand-up comedy when I drive. It kind of makes everybody shut up. If I put on music I want to listen to, everybody wants to start talking to me. I'm like, I'm listening to Jane's Addiction. Could you not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you can listen to podcasts while you drive.
Yep.
Travel podcasts.
I don't know any good ones out there.
Yeah, if I drive or fly, that's always what I do is podcasts. If I could find a good one, I'd listen to.
Do you have ideal driving music though? Like what are you throwing on?
Yeah, new wave 80s music.
Yeah.
Benedictine monks.
Mm-hmm. Benedictine to help you fall asleep. Oh gosh, that song! Yes.
This is gonna sound really good.
Return to innocence.
I listen to Tubular Bells while we drive.
Oh no!
A little bit of Zamfir and the pan flute.
It's basically the Pure Moods collection. That's what I like to drive.
No.
I used to wake up to the ad for Pure Moods every night and fall asleep on the couch and wake up to the commercial.
It's a little creepy.
Every time we do a road trip, and this started like when I was 12 or 13, is Journey Infinity. I have to listen to that album from start to finish. I know every word, and not just every word, but every little guitar part. My family loves for me to perform that for them while we drive.
My family hates that I just put yakety sax on repeat the entire time.
But it makes it so much more zany.
Zany.
Patting a little bald guy on the head.
Chasing down a bikini lady.
I really like to listen to oldies. Actually, I've been really in the mood for just some oldies lately, and you can't find radio stations.
You mean like stuff from the 1980s? Yeah.
No, like 60. Like where's the Motown and the girls?
Well, that's why you need like Sirius FM, because then you get like decade channels.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
but I don't pay.
That doesn't get enough of a mix either. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For some reason, that's just like summertime good time music. Mm-hmm. Seems like the perfect thing for driving for me.
I've got a good
Beach Boys is great driving music.
I've got a good oldies playlist on Spotify. I'll send you
a little bit of the Beatles.
I've got one I've been working on too, but man, it's I don't know why. That used to be all I listened to when I was younger and I was not cool. And now I'm in the mood to listen to it. Well, now that I'm old and not cool.
Now that you are still not cool.
Now that I'm older and not cool.
I had a brief period of time in my late 20s where I was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then
my
When
mom
you
says so.
back when you were in a band.
Yeah, something like that. You guys, you allow eating in the car, or are you a strict no food policy?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's kind of necessary.
Yeah,
Some people are fussy about that.
This is part of how you make good time. You go through the drive-through.
Yeah.
And the navigator is also in charge of positioning the cheeseburger. Yeah.
Properly adjusting
properly
the wrapper.
aligning
Putting the
the
straw
wrapper.
in the drink.
Yes.
That is so true, Andy.
Yeah, holding the dipping sauce.
Turn my burger for
Oh, no,
me
there's
so
no
that I'm not
dipping.
eating. No,
Yeah.
no
No
sauces.
dipping.
No, you eat your
What
fries
about if you
dry.
get have you seen those little dipping sauce cup holders that you can put in your air
Yes,
vents?
Sonic
What?
has make
I have
So you can make your car smell like
for a while.
barbecue sauce even faster.
Yummy.
That way you can dip while you're driving. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
I just use it as air freshener. So am I going with the ranch or the sweet and sour today?
Gross. Man,
Maybe
maybe sat in
a
your car for 2 days.
Oh. Yuck.
Dry aged.
Dry aged ranch.
Well, let's skip ahead to. Do you guys play any road games in the car?
Never.
No, not
Never-
really.
You don't punch people when you see a VW.
Oh, I made sure that we did not institute that with my family, with my
Yeah.
kids, because someone's going to get punched in the eye.
Yeah. My sister and I always got along, so we never played that.
I have 2 boys, and it's already not playing a game impossible to keep them from just back there messing with each other the whole time, fighting and poking, and no,
That's why I stopped at one.
yeah.
Just tie him and bound and gag him.
Amen. You can fit it in the trunk a lot easier and still get your luggage back there if you just have one.
Oh, fit it.
Sit it.
It's hungry
It's
again.
so
Pull through the
good.
drive-through.
We have to stop and feed it.
We used to play I Spy in the car with the kids, but there's two problems with that. A, it's not the ideal game to play when you're moving down the road, so most of the things that they spy are just immediately around you.
Immediately
in the car.
gone.
That's why
And the other thing is kids aren't very good at least when they're like 3 or 4.
No.
They're actually not that good at playing I Spy.
No, this
No.
this is shocking.
Yeah.
Kids suck at games anyway, let's be honest.
Yes.
My kid is horrible at Risk. I mean, like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
You just can't sit there for 9 hours.
He doesn't seem to understand geopolitical issues. I don't understand what his problem is.
My kids play that game now. I have 2
love
nerds who
Oh, yeah,
They're
love
not 7.
tabletop games. I
Tell
had
them
a house full of teenagers yesterday because they were playing the new game that they got, which was Dune, the board game.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good one.
God.
Yo, you like
It's
that one?
somehow even longer than the movie.
It is
it's
now.
as dry as the movie.
It's Owen's favorite game now because he keeps winning. I'm pretty sure Aiden is pretty soon going to be like, no, we're not playing it anymore. Because usually he wins everything. And
Why? Because he always wins and he's a real asshole about it.
All right. Well, I've got a couple. Let's talk about Jess. This is our first "Convince Me to Take a Road Trip" segment, and Jess, you said that you wanted to visit the Redwoods National / State Parks.
Yes.
All right. So
Big
I've got a travel
trees.
plan for you,
Okay.
and
Now I want to first add a little caveat, and I hope this doesn't throw off your plans, but I do not want to make a road trip to the Redwood Forest. I'd love to fly out there, rent a car, do a nice little road trip up and back, and then fly back home.
Around California.
I got you on there. I didn't think you would want to go all the way.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a little bit of a drive, but it's a good drive. All right.
If my wife can do it, it sounds great.
So you go. Sorry, I keep on kicking my desk. You go fly into San Bernardino, and you're going to pick up
A package from a man.
66.
Route 66.
Yeah, you're going to jump on Route 66. You take that all the way west to the coast. You're going to pass through Pasadena and LA and go to Santa Monica. From there,
to get some avocados.
Yes, let's take the 5 to the
Rancho Cucamonga.
and then from there, you're going
you can take the Pacific Coast Highway all the way north. So let's see, where did I have? Okay. Heading through Malibu, you're going to want to make sure that you stop and drive through Topanga Canyon, but you're also going to want to see the beach where they filmed the finale of Planet of the Apes. And reenact that scene.
They did it. They blew it up.
The Pacific Coast Highway it looks so gorgeous.
Yeah.
If you have to be on a road trip, that's a good spot. I think my problem with road trips is that where we always went in my childhood was from Michigan all the way down to the tip of Illinois. And Illinois is so freaking ugly and boring. I'm sorry. It is.
Yeah, that's not much of a road trip.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that when you get to San Bernardino, you're going to start off by staying the night in the Wigwam Hotel, which is 1950s era concrete teepees that you're going to stay in.
Okay, yeah.
And the site of the original McDonald's is there. It's not operating anymore, but it is a restaurant, a museum.
Oh, yeah, the one that Ray Kroc stole from them.
Yeah. So then, let's see.
Is that the one that the Cozy Cone is based on?
It is, yeah.
I believe it is, yeah.
And there's a pile of dog poop nearby there that they based flows on. I'm not happy with you right now, Disney. I'm just going to put you on blast.
So once you leave Malibu, you're going to keep heading north. Stop by San Simeon. You can see the elephant seals and the Hearst Castle there.
The elephant seals.
Yeah, there's an elephant seal sanctuary there.
That sounds smelly.
Elephant poop is big. They have really big buttholes.
Yeah. Yes.
What you got to say to that?
Elephant seals probably also have big buttholes.
That is what I've always noticed about the elephant seals was their giant buttholes. You're right.
You'll pass through Monterey and Big Sur, and then you're definitely going to want to stop in San Jose, so you can take a tour of the Winchester Mystery House.
Yeah, definitely.
Way to San Jose. Some peace of mind in San Jose.
You'll pass through San Francisco, which is a few hours from the Redwood State / National Park. And then I figure once you get there, you're going to want to stay in that Treehouse Hotel that we talked about a couple of months ago.
Hopefully, if you get to go over the bridge, it's not foggy.
How long a drive are we talking here, Dan?
My kids are still bitter that when they flew into San Francisco last summer to go to my sister's wedding, and David had been talking up that, the view over the bridge, and they're like, yeah, we didn't see a dang thing. It was just
totally foggy.
It was so foggy they couldn't even see the bridge, really.
No. I didn't clock the miles or hours. If you stop and see all the stuff I mentioned, you're talking a few days just to get up to the park, obviously.
That's what I want to do. Yeah.
It's about 3 hours from San Francisco to the Redwoods. So the rest of that drive is, if you just drove straight through, I'm going to say you could probably do it in one long day, but then you're missing out
You're missing out on the elephant seal buttholes if you do that.
That's right. And nobody wants to miss those.
No.
Those
Story of my
the
life.
highlight of your trip.
As long as I get to drive through a tree, at least one, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
That is
hopefully the kind with the hole cut through.
Well, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
If you fall asleep like you say you do in the car, you might drive through one you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and
just watch out for the coyote.
I hear there's a fine if you run into a redwood tree and damage it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I think it's more likely to damage your car, though.
Yes, but
mighty.
those trees are protected.
You're just trying to make a new attraction.
Watch out for the coyote. I'm sorry, I just got that.
That's a slow burn.
Painting the tunnel on the tree.
Yes, I got it.
Something else I wanted to talk about is themed road trips. Around here in Michigan, lots of people come and do beer tourism when we'll drive around to all of and then also up north in Michigan, there's a whole bunch of wineries up around Traverse City, Cherry Country, and grapes. So they'll go up there and they'll just spend a long weekend driving to different stuff.
California
Kentucky,
wine country driving looks pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Or there's you could do the whiskey trail in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hit up all the bourbon distilleries.
That could be fun.
You could do the racist monument trail down south.
Not for very long.
That would be Monument Avenue here in Richmond, but we've cleared out most of those already now.
You better get that trip done this summer.
Always thanks to Guar.
You guys brought in the big guns to help with that battle.
Oh, yeah.
Guar.
If you come to Richmond, Guar has their own bar. It is wonderful.
The Guar Bar?
It is called the Guar Bar.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Some other themes I was thinking of off the top of my head, and some of these I've started planning in the past. At one point, I wanted to find all of the coolest mini golf places between two destinations, like the really cool ones that have like windmills and moving stuff.
Yeah.
And,
we've been getting into mini golf.
Like hillbilly golf and Gatlinburg.
Yeah, like hillbilly golf. Or, the classic following a band across the country for the summer.
Only if it's a ska band.
Yeah.
I want to see that every night.
Yeah.
The set lists are so different.
Because,
but what's worse, that or a jam band?
Or
honestly,
Dave
that's
Matthews
what I'm saying. I mean, it could be any worse.
At least, Dave Matthews Band just totally sucks. But I like some other jam bands, and at least those sets are different every night.
Yeah, and long.
Do people follow bands anymore? Like, I mean,
I don't know.
I'm assuming Fish is still around, so...
Widespread panic.
Yeah.
I know that there's some people who spend the whole summer basically just going from one music festival to another.
Not this summer.
Like
where did those people quarantine themselves?
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to. They're always surrounded by dirty, filthy people.
Yeah, their immune systems are amazing.
Yeah, actually, probably are.
You could plan a trip solely for the weird roadside attractions that you stop at on the way.
I think
you don't have to have it. Yeah.
Let's go to the mystery spot.
Yes, I love the mystery spot.
I want to take a tour of the world's largest and smallest everything. Like, just focus on the biggest and the smallest. That would be.
I was thinking we were watching last weekend the diners, drive-ins, and dives. Now it'd be cool to plot a course to go to all of those, or several of those, or you could do that pretty easily around just the Southeast or just California or something. Go to all the different places, and you could dress like an ass hat. Like,
I think your last stop would have to be at a cardiologist after that.
Yes,
but,
it would.
Did you see that there's a petition to rename Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown because that's where he was born?
Oh, no.
Because we want to erase Christopher Columbus.
And Columbus is racist, so.
Yeah.
Another type of road trip. I remember, I think it was like a local news segment that they would talk about every once in a while. It was one tank trips.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeff, you said that you had some ideas for those, stuff that you could easily get to in a few hours.
Don't love long road trips. We've always had kind of a 4-hour max for road tripping, 4 to 5 hours, unless there's an emergency or something. But generally, we try to do things close. So in Alabama, we've got near us. I'm in Birmingham, right in the middle of Alabama. So we're about 4 hours from the Gulf Coast, so we can hit the beach or whatever. Even closer than that is the National U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Where
I love that place.
Dan, did you go to space camp, or did I dream that?
Yeah, it was a shortened. It was like a long weekend version that we did with Scouts once.
Oh yeah,
I did that
place
too.
Is really cool.
Yeah, Space and Rocket Center is awesome.
It's
we took
amazing.
Heather and her family there when they came here, and kids loved that. And Dave loved it, as you can imagine, more than
the rest of us.
More than anyone. Yeah, we were
that rocket garden where you can stand right next to the engine.
Oh yeah, I have a great photo of Jeff just with in the rocket garden.
Was I making the rocket look like a big penis?
Yeah.
I'd assume so.
Classic Jeff.
Classic Jeff.
And then even closer for us in Coleman, Alabama, is Ave Maria Grotto. Anyone heard of this?
No.
So it started off as Jerusalem in miniature. It is. There's a monk that lives there at the whatever the monkery monastery.
The monkery.
I prefer the monkery.
And
I love a good monkery.
He started building with plaster and cement and other leftover materials from when they were building the abbey there. And there's a school and a big church and all that. But he started taking the leftover materials and crafting. He did Jerusalem first, and now it's all the religious sites in the world, the St. Peter's Basilica and everything
miniature.
else. They're in miniature, and it's huge. It's like 5 acres of stuff he's made, and it's sculpted. Some of them are sculpted into the land and all that. I love things in miniature, and I love weird kitsch, and this is all of that. Good time. It's not like, a blast or whatever, but it's a good go spend 1 hour or two walking through. It's really cheap to get in. I can't remember how much. It's like $5 or $7. Go walk through this thing and see all the miniatures. But just think that one dude over the course of like 45 years built all this stuff by hand. Pretty cool.
There's several of those sites around the country. They're like weird amateur architects build those things. I've got one that I'm going to share later for Heather's trip. But yeah, so that place sounds really cool. I have to put that on my list.
Yeah, it's neat. It's about an hour from us. We haven't been in actually in a few years. I was thinking about heading up there. I guess they're open. It's all outside. You just walk through it. Then there's, of course, a Catholic gift shop. And
of course.
The best kind of gift shop.
You can buy a Catholic.
Other thing there.
You can buy a genuine Catholic, yes.
And then the other one that's close to us, about an hour and a half, is DeSoto Caverns, which is just a huge indoor, cavern thing, and the grounds outside. They have a lot of the Native American stuff and dancers, and they have a guy doing forge stuff and glass blowing and all the typical outdoorsy hokum, but mostly a gigantic.
I love
sounds like colonial Williamsburg.
Yeah, it's that kind of a thing.
Make
but even
a candle.
cheesier. They have one of those mazes you can go through, but it's like built like a fort. They have climbing walls and splash pads. You can buy like a pack of choose 5 activities. You can pan for gold, all that stuff.
Oh, my dad is super into that right now. He's going out and panning for gold all over.
He's doing that like in the river in Detroit, right?
Oh, well, in the creek in my grandparents' backyard, and has apparently found gold there.
He brought some pay dirt over to our house last weekend, I think it was, and had the kids panning with them, and we've got a little vial with some gold
flakes. Yeah.
Well, I remember we were at dinner. Heather and her husband Dave and I were at dinner at some hotel out on a thing that was by the river. And we looked down
616.
And your dad was down there fishing.
Out in his waders, fishing in the Grand River. Yep.
It's in the middle of downtown.
That's the patio over 616. Yeah, he does that all the time.
It's just funny because you'd been talking about dad.
Yeah, like, look.
And then we look there. Actually, there he is.
There he is. Fishing. Yeah, those are his 2 hobbies, fishing and panning for gold.
And you can do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's convenient.
My kids call him a druid.
I really like those kind of old timey hokey places though, Jeff.
Me too.
There's a blacksmith shop and
like all of Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, that whole area is nothing but that. Taffy pulling wheels and machines, people making fudge.
Y'all need to head up to Mackinac Island this summer. It's deserted up there right now, and you can blacksmith and ride a horse. And it's a lot of fun. That's one of our main trips that we would take is up to Mackinac Island. Mm-hmm.
You can ride a blacksmith,
and there's no cars allowed on the island unless you're Mike Pence. Yeah. And it's so
the flows of humans.
Mackinac Island is tiny. The full circumference of it is only 7.5 miles. So you don't even need to drive anywhere. But yeah. And you can get some fudge.
Secret Service can't protect you on a Segway.
I guess
not anymore.
Yeah, no.
Segway's been canceled.
Segways is done. Well, when the founder drives his off of a cliff on accident, it's not good for the brand.
Yeah.
Did he do
He did.
Yeah, a few years ago. Plus,
he didn't die though, right?
Yes, he died.
He
died.
That's
how he died. He accidentally, on his own property, drove his Segway off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
That and the fact that their big celebrity spokesperson is Paul Blart kind of ruins Segway.
Inadvertent, I'd say, but
that's true. I'm a little bitter that I never got to do a Segway tour in Epcot, but oh well.
They still make scooters apparently that don't fall over, so not as fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, and then I've got I tried to convince Heather to take a road trip, and Heather asked for a trip to the Keys. I was excited for this because there's a series of books I like to read about this character named Serge Storms, who's a psychotic serial killer.
Oh, there's going to be serial killing on my road trip?
But he only kills jerks. And he's a native Floridian.
Like Dexter?
Yeah,
kind of. But he comes up with these really crazy, Rube Goldberg almost kind of experiments to kill them with. But the other part of his character is he's obsessed with Florida and Florida history. And every single one of the books is like him just road tripping around Florida, going to these weird old historic sites that he likes to see and spouting off about the history. And so
I have always wanted to go to the Keys. And we tossed around the idea a couple of years ago of flying into Miami and driving down from there. But have not done it.
Well, this time you're actually going to fly into Fort Lauderdale.
All right. I'm good. I like Fort Lauderdale.
And ideally, you're probably going to want to rent like a really big old boat of a classic car.
Yes.
Giant fins over the taillights.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that first day while you're there in Fort Lauderdale, you're going to head to the Rec Bar, which is in the B Resort. And you're going to get drinks at the bar there while watching a classic mermaid show. Yeah,
we have to do this. Take notes, Jeff.
It's a basement level bar. It's like that.
The Rec Bar in the B Resort.
Yes,
in Fort Lauderdale. Got it.
And so Fridays and Saturdays they've got a mermaid show. Thursdays they have a merman show.
Oh yes, yes. Well,
maybe I like both.
Yeah, whichever variety you prefer.
Also, the bar we love in the Fort Lauderdale area is the Mai Kai, which is like a tiki classic.
One of the oldest tiki show bars.
Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's a great time.
Yeah. I knew that you guys have been there.
So we're going to have to stay in Fort Lauderdale for a couple of days.
Yeah. So you're going to have to go see the mermaid show where they swim past the windows outside, or the merman. You're going to hop on US 1 South, head towards Miami, where obviously you're going to see all of the classic.
Is this the A1A or is this different?
Maybe. US 1. Probably A1A.
A1A, Beachfront Avenue.
Beach Road.
Ice, baby. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to see all the classic architecture, the culture, the nightlife in Miami, but you're also going to be able to visit such great sites as Jungle Island, which is an attraction dating back to the 1930s. It's basically Gatorland, but it features performing parrots, flamingos, and the Serpentarium snake show.
You lost me at the snake show.
That's what I call my underwear.
I'll just stick to the bird.
Welcome to the
Serpentarium.
Tickets, please.
You can also visit the Miccosukee Indian Village, where you can see a classic gator wrestling show.
Is it the Seminoles?
Classic gator wrestling? I'm really tired of this modern gator wrestling. Thank God they're taking it back to its roots.
You can also
big fella.
You can also visit the house where Elian Gonzalez was captured, which has apparently been turned into a museum by his uncle, and you can see his toys and the inner tube that he floated across the ocean in.
Speaking of Elian, here he is now.
Hi, Alex.
You say hi. Okay, go down and play. Daddy's almost done, okay?
That was great timing.
So you're going to pass through Homestead, Florida on the way down to the Everglades, and you're going to visit the Coral Castle, which is kind of like Ave Maria Grotto.
I got the present.
So that I can take notes. Bye, bud.
Why do you have a pencil?
The Coral Castle. It was built by one man over the course of 20 years, starting in the 1930s. He used more than 2.2 million pounds of petrified coral to build a castle with benches and rooms and tables and all this stuff.
I bet those benches are comfortable.
Yeah, everything's scratchy.
And the best part is, instead of trying to educate people about religion or something, he did this all to impress his crush.
Oh, nice. I like it.
I couldn't find out whether or not she appreciated his efforts.
Fell for it.
Yeah. But so you'll be passing along the eastern edge of the Everglades. So you'll probably want to take a swamp boat tour.
I definitely want to do that.
Definitely.
And then you'll continue on the overseas highway to Key Largo, where you might want to stay overnight at Jules Undersea Lodge. It's a hotel where you have to strap on scuba gear and dive 30 feet below the surface to get to your room. If you prefer a fancier experience, there's Baker's Key Resort in Key Largo, which is a Hilton property, and it's tucked away among the mangroves on Hammock Beach.
Nice.
While you're there, make sure you take a glass bottom boat ride at the Coral Reef State Park. The Keys you could drive in a day, but I figure you're going to want to stop places along the way. So,
sure,
take your time. So keep heading south, stop in Isla Morada, and you can feed the tarpon fish at Robbie's Marina. And then in Marathon, you can visit with some injured sea turtles that are being rehabbed at the Marathon Turtle Hospital.
Oh.
Poor turtles.
Marathon is also home to the Dolphin Research Center, where you can see the grave of TV's Flipper.
Oh,
yeah.
Flipper.
So,
is that where that other
ground?
dolphin is? What was that white dolphin there was a movie about? Had one fin or something.
Winter.
Dolphin's tail or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dolphin's tail.
yeah.
Winter is up in
Somewhere down in the Florida.
it's Clearwater. So not too far from Walt Disney World.
Should have put him in Winter Park.
Yes.
Yeah, that would make sense. Then you'll head on down to Big Pine Key, where you'll keep an eye out for the endangered key deer that infest the island and apparently are easy to run over with your car.
Key deer. Okay.
Yeah, they're tiny little deer that only live on the Keys.
They're cute little tiny deer, huh?
Yeah. And while you're there, you're going to stop.
As much.
I'll try not to hit them with my big old-fashioned car.
Yeah, exactly. Please. They're endangered after all. Stop for lunch at the No Name Pub for some quirky Keys culture. And don't forget to hang a $1 bill from the ceiling. And then obviously where you're headed in the end is Key West.
Key West. I've always wanted to visit Key West.
Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
Apparently Duval Street is kind of a little bit like Bourbon Street. It's pretty touristy, but it's full of all the famous bars and restaurants there.
Yes. Hemingway. Can I go visit Hemingway's
Hemingway house?
cats?
Yes,
I just want to see the cats.
Yeah. Visit Hemingway's house. There's also a big butterfly conservatory there. And the southernmost point in the continental U.S.,
Just
which apparently isn't really the southernmost point. There's also the Fort East Martello Museum, where you can meet Robert the Haunted Doll. It's a haunted doll that's over 100 years old. And he was the inspiration for Chucky. And he's really terrifying looking. So
sounds good.
Maybe not.
But then, you hang around Key West and do whatever you do.
That sounds fun.
Can I go to a drag queen brunch in Key West? I bet you we could.
100%.
You probably can. Either that or you can organize one.
I'm sold. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Florida does seem like they have a lot of those quirky roadside attractions.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool
Because,
stuff.
Florida is just weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I love
it's
it.
got swamps and beaches.
Yeah.
That's about
Alligators.
it. Now that I think
That's
about
it.
But then you've got like the northern part of Florida is more like Georgia,
Alabama.
and you got the southern,
Alabama.
right? Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff there. That'd actually be a fun thing to talk about. Is a whole bunch of the weird stuff in Florida that you can see.
I want to find that resort in the Keys that was where they filmed, and now the name of that miniseries just went out of our TV show. Just went out of my head.
Bloodlines.
Thank you. That was a great show. Totally and completely messed up, but based in the Keys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Check it out. I think it was on Netflix, Dan. It's
Excellent show.
It's a really
And
good
everybody's all sweaty all the time because it's in the
Does that have to do with vampires?
No,
It sounds like
no,
a
no, no.
vampire
No,
show.
it's
not
Bloodlines
vampires.
feeding your family down tree, and
It's
everybody's
because the family
issues with
owns
family.
this beach resort in the Keys and have for years and years. And of course, they're a messed up family with lots of issues. It was a great show.
It's a great show.
Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights is in it.
And Ben Mendelsohn.
And Ben Mendelsohn, I love him.
That's the name.
He's a bit of Star Wars fame now. He was in Rogue One.
He's in Rogue One.
He's the bad guy in Rogue One.
And he was the dude in Captain Marvel that turned out to be an alien. That we thought was
Yeah, spoiler alert.
I mean, if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, get off your butt.
I know. I'm just messing. Well, I'm sold, Dan. You've convinced me to take a road trip.
Good. Do it. And,
especially when you said fly into Fort Lauderdale. I don't have to drive all the way down there.
Do you think I was going to make you fly from Michigan to
the Pacific Coast one sounds amazing to me, too.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I would love to do that, too.
I want to do both
I've driven from Michigan to Florida more than once, and it's enough.
Yeah, I don't think that sounds like fun.
It's actually not bad. I mean, Kentucky is beautiful, and they have some of the greatest rest areas. Tennessee is pretty to drive through, especially when you're driving through Chattanooga.
Yeah, Sea Rock City there.
But from here, we have to go all the way down Indiana, which is not interesting.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us again this week. If you're excited to hit the open road and explore America or anywhere else around the world, Key to the World Travel has an Airstream trailer full of expert travel planners ready to make your vacation dreams a reality. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com to get started with a no-obligation quote. Don't forget to catch up with our friend, the Theme Park Professor, for all the latest theme park news and tips at www.themeparkprofessor.com. Word of mouth is the best way to grow our show. If you have a friend or two who you think would appreciate our special brand of globe-trotting jackassery, send them our way. And we can't wait to hang out with you again next week. See you real soon.
Bye, everybody.
Don't drive to flows.
Don't drive to flows.
To ask a question or share your travel story, you can reach us by smoke signal, carrier pigeon, or send an email to goldkeyadventurers@gmail.com. And make sure you follow the Gold Key Adventure Society on Facebook and Instagram. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Key to the World Travel. For all your travel planning needs, visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a free quote and help planning the trip of a lifetime. Tell them the Gold Key Adventurers sent you. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Thanks to Outer Vibe for the use of their song Hoka Hey for the intro and outro of our show. Find them on Facebook at The Outer Vibe or check out www.outervibe.com for tour dates, music, merch, and more. We'll see you next week for another meeting of the Gold Key Adventure Society. And until then, remember, life is short and the world is wide. So go have an adventure.